Hi everybody from underneath my fig tree. The weather is heating up, and so anytime I can sneak into the shade, it's going to be good going forward. I'm under here working on my cucumber trellis, which you'll see towards the end of the video, but I've got loads of stuff before we get there, including a major development in the Craic Shack and loads of work in the garden. It really is amazing, I think, what I managed to do in one day, and it's been a huge transformation down there. And there's lots to share, so let's just get into the video, and I'll see you again at the end. Good morning, guys. It's a beautiful day so far, and I'm excited to get back to work on the Craic Shack. I was really busy most of yesterday with online writing work and video editing, but I managed to get out in the evening with the sander, and I was hoping to get most of the pieces sanded, but it actually takes forever. The little orbital sander does take some time, and I need to get sanding pads for the larger sander that we have, so it was super time consuming, but I blasted through 3 of the rafters, got them sanded to a decent grit, and most importantly, I got the beam ready to go up on top of the front of the Craic Shack once I decide how high I actually want that thing to be. So that's something I'm going to decide today, and I'm going to work on that this morning. Another thing I finally got to last night was chopping down a few of the most obstructive branches of the fig tree using the tool of joy on a stick. Always a pleasure using that tool. However, it was a bit of a shame to need to chop down the branches when the figs are almost ripe. But that's okay, because the figs this year are loaded. My tree is looking okay. The fruit is a lot larger than it has been in the past, but Sinead has a couple trees down at hers, and the figs down there are insane. The tree is packed, and the size of the things is bigger than any figs I've ever seen in my life before on any of our trees. So it seems like it's going to be a really good year for fruit in general. All of my trees are looking nice, but we'll get down to the food forest later on when I do some strimming. Right now, I'm focused on chopping off the tops of these posts and getting this beam in place so that I can then put the rafters up there, just resting, to get them out of the way. Because allegedly we have a wood delivery coming today. Sinead's ordered a whole bunch of stuff. I've ordered loads of stuff to finish off the Craic Shack. And Sancha arrives tomorrow, and she's got a lot of stuff on the way too. I say allegedly because Cesar, the wood guy, though he is a wonderful person and I love him, sometimes he doesn't come exactly when he says, and you do need to do a bit of chasing. But word on the street is he's coming today, and so I want to have as much wood out of the way, sanded up, ready to go as I can, so that when he delivers, I can refill this area with all the wood I need and prepare all of the other pieces as well, which is going to include more rafters and some uprights and some braces and all kinds of stuff. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. Let's get this beam in place. So one thing that I can definitely say for sure is that filming while going up and down the scaffolding is a massive pain in the neck. You guys know what I'm like. I tend to go a bit overboard getting all kinds of different angles and shots, and when you're hopping up and down the scaffolding, that just isn't feasible. So I'll probably limit the filming and the shots and stuff while I'm up high. But basically what I'm doing now is trying to figure out the angle that I want this roof to be at. This is way too high at the front, I think. I think I'll take it down another 15 centimeters. I've already shortened it once, and I am a bit nervous about the slope of the roof, but I'd rather have the front of this looking good. I feel like it's a bit bonkers now. It's really high and very obnoxious looking, and I'd rather have it look good at the front, and then if I need to, I can adjust the roofing material I use later on. I'd love to use tiles, but if it doesn't work out, or if I need roofing underneath the tiles to make sure the water sheds because the slope is lower, then I'll have to do that. But yeah, so I've got some decisions to make, and then I've got some chopping to do. So actually, on second thought, because this is going to be so hard to visualize from up here, I'm going to take advantage of the camera and hold the rafter in several places with marks that I still need to mark out. So, one moment please. I think I'll go, let's see, Here's some riveting viewing of me measuring and marking things from a distance. So let's try 60 centimeters high, 65 centimeters high, and 70 centimeters high. And then what I'll do is I'll hold the rafter in place and then hop down and look at the footage and see what I think looks the best. Okay, so that more or less is the highest angle. I think was 70. That's 65, and that's around 60, and let's go a little lower as well. That's probably around 55. And now I must watch the footage and make a choice. So after much deliberation, I decided on 65 centimeters from that beam there up to the top of the post. I'll lop everything off, make a notch, and I feel like that's still reasonably obnoxious, but not totally insane. So I'm happy with that. And now I saw. So I definitely could attempt to do this with the power saw, but I don't know. Electrical saws up high just doesn't seem that enjoyable. It seems kind of stressful. So I'm going to go at it with the Japanese saw, and it's definitely going to take me some time. So I'm basically replicating this piece down a little lower, lopping the top off and creating the notch as I mentioned before. And it's going to take forever, but luckily it's a beautiful day. The hot weather is on its way. I think by the end of next week we're going to be into the 30s, so I'm going to enjoy this lovely view from up here while I just work very slowly at making these cuts. So this is what I'm up to. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long, but I have a feeling it might. And I'll see you soon when it's all finished. Okay, I'm back after much effort. I ended up actually biting the bullet and using the small circular saw to try to get as far in as I possibly could, because ain't nobody got time for hand sawing stuff like that. Sinead is here to help with the lifting. Hi, Sinead.
Lifter clear, that's what they call me.
Just popping in to lift stuff around. We've got the other one ready to go. And now we're gonna hop up and try to get this bad boy into place. Woo! Ooh, scaffolding's hot.
Well, the ladder's not.
Oh, the ladder's not great.
Sugary.
Okay.
You set me up for a death trap.
Sorry about that. All right. Are you ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3.
I'm stuck.
Uh-oh, I'm stuck on the tree. Okay. You're in? Ah, it's a beautiful thing. Amazing. Thanks very much. But the moment of truth, is she level? That's in between the lines, so it's good enough for me. I'm happy with that. Thanks, Sinead. Farewell, and yeah, I'm gonna call it on work for the Craic Shack for the moment, and I'll be back at this with rafters going on pretty soon. And I gotta say, the weather is definitely getting hot, so I want to get a roof on this ASAP. The evening was gorgeous, so I decided to get on the strimmer because the grass has really shot up over these past few weeks, and the deadline for clearing the land is at the end of May. So I busted out the strimmer and started tackling that job, which is going to take a few days. Hi everybody from a hot and hazy and humid and sticky, sweaty day here in Central Portugal. Not exactly the best day for working in the garden. But I've been going really hard down there, as you can probably see by my levels of grossness. It's really quite a hot day, and I don't think I've stopped from morning until now. It's about 5 p.m. and the progress is fabulous, but it definitely has been a lot of hard work. The first thing I wanted to do was empty the wheelbarrow with all the plants that I wanted to get into the ground. So I did that and filled the wheelbarrow back up with a whole bunch of trash that was around the garden. So I did a huge cleanup down there, in addition to a whole bunch of other amazing things. So I had the camera away the entire time, and I've got some before shots and some after shots, and I think you're gonna find the transformation pretty spectacular. At least I'm really happy with it. So I think the hard work has been worth it. I'm definitely looking forward to a shower, and let's just get into the garden and I'll show you what I've done. Let's start in the garden bed that's mostly made up of tomatoes and a few flowers. Everything is very densely packed in, but I did manage to squeeze in a few more basil plants. So I got 4 in, one there, one over there. There's one kind of nestled in over here, and another one on the end. They're a great companion plant for tomatoes, and hopefully they'll work well together, and hopefully there's enough space. I'm a bit nervous about that, but let's see how it goes. The bed that I wanted to put the chilies in was the most pressing. I feel like the jalapenos have been sitting in those pots for ages, and I really just wanted to get them in the ground and add some more chilies in as well. And so that's what I did, and it was very successful. I think it's looking great. I think they're well spaced. And I also decided to take some of the plants up from the greenhouse and put them in the pots where the jalapenos were before, so that wasn't too much effort because the soil was mostly already in there. I just had to top it up. Planting so many things all at once is pretty hard on the back, so it was a tough job, but definitely worth it. And I'm really happy with how it looks, and I think this is going to be a really nice spot for the chilies to overwinter, because I have this south-facing wall that should shelter them from the cold. I also wanted to point out that I cut back the I cut back the kiwi vine that was here, because in reality, there's no chance I'm going to be building a garden gate anytime soon, and my intention is to have the kiwis sort of go over the gate and then go down the wall on some sort of a trellis of some sort, but that's not happening anytime soon, so I feel like I might end up just cutting this guy back every year and seeing how it goes, and when I'm ready, I'll have a plant hopefully ready for me as well. So this is a bed that took a lot of work, but I'm happy with it, and I think it's going to be a good producer. And then I did some work on the cherry tree bed that has some comfrey in it. The bed had already been made a while ago, and so all I really had to do was come in with the plants and stick them in the ground. And I decided to do another tomato bed with some basil and a few other random things. I've got kale there, I've got an eggplant. It's all very experimental. There's a sunflower there and some other flower that I forget. I've left a bit of space because I have some more interesting tomatoes that I haven't yet put in the garden anywhere else that I'd like to stick in this bed, but they need to get a bit bigger before I do that. So this is looking good, still more work to do, but I'm definitely very happy with the progress here. So the crazy swamp that had developed in front of my water tank was a major problem because I couldn't really walk around the garden, and it's something I needed to address, but I knew it would be a lot of work. But in the end, I managed to get it done, along with this beautiful new garden bed that I've just combined into one. So I've got blueberries over there. I meant to put those actually in the ground. I've got 3 on the end, but I totally forgot, and I'm kind of running out of time because I have somewhere to be later on. But I feel like it's going to be a good bed. Maybe I'll put something in here like melons or butternut squash or something that's a bit different to the tomatoes and the usual stuff. But this is still a problem. As you can see, it's pretty crazy. I don't exactly know what's going on with the leek. I still have to cut down some lilies and get in there to look. I don't know if anyone remembers the video where I chopped down a whole bunch of lilies here, and there was a big sort of stubby bit of lily ends. Well, they've regrown very quickly, and so this plant is definitely one to keep on top of. But as you can see, I've made a little channel, so at least I can kind of get around a bit with some effort. This part of the job was really gross. I was standing around in all this crazy mucky stuff, getting really dirty, but it was also really satisfying. And I'm happy that I made a channel that I was going to take all the way down here, and I was worried it was going to puddle because I didn't have the energy to take it all the way to the end down to the next terrace, which is what I wanted to do. But somehow there's a weird little hole here, and the water seems to be going in there. So I don't know where that goes, but I'm happy it's there, and maybe it'll keep this bed nice and hydrated from underneath, I don't know. But overall, this was a big job, but a really satisfying one. And one of my tasks, I think, for the end of next week, or maybe a week later, is to clean out the water tank, clean out the swimming pool, and finally sort out whatever the heck is happening here, including figuring out some irrigation for the garden, so I don't have to water everything by hand this year. Work today was enjoyable because it was quite varied between digging out the swamp and then planting and also making garden beds. I wouldn't want to spend an entire day just making garden beds because it is a lot of work. Underneath here we've got lots of soil that I've just moved around from various places. I've added in some of the chicken poo. I've built it up a bit. There's other composts in there, and it's just a whole bunch of work to get it all done. But when it's done, and the effort is definitely worth it. And once I get plants in here, I'll be super happy. Maybe it'll be more tomatoes. I have no idea. I have so many tomatoes, and I don't really know where they're gonna go, but I've got lots of friends that want to take them as well, so it's nice to be able to offer that. We've got cardboard and then straw on top, and so that's basically my garden bed: compost, cardboard, straw, and that's that. While we're over here, let's take a look at the corn, which is doing really well. I've got some smaller ones in between, got some flowers in there. Everything seems to be doing fine. And I don't know if anyone remembers, but I planted some radishes a while ago, and ooh, we've got lots of ants in there, but it looks like they're ready to go. So yeah, I'll root around in there and see what's up. I think there might also be beets in there somewhere, but I'm not sure. I know I planted beets over here in the wall of sunflowers, and let's just pause for a moment to see how beautiful this looks. I couldn't be happier with this, if I'm honest with you. I think it's a beautiful border to the garden. It's going to bring lots of birds, and hopefully they can snack on the seeds instead of snacking on my vegetables. And then the other wall over there is going to be amazing as well. But this one seems to be a bit more thick and beautiful and healthy. And yeah, I'm going to be so happy when these sunflowers actually start to pop up. But the reason I'm over here is because under here somewhere was supposed to be beets, but I don't think they're happening. This is why I prefer to start things in the polytunnel rather than just direct sow. But yeah, anyway, that was attempted and that was failed. But if you don't try, you don't learn. And then there's no point doing so much work in the garden without actually tidying it up. So I picked up all the crap everywhere, used the pine needles on the blueberry bed, and then made one more garden bed. And it's the same as everything else. Lots of compost under there, cardboard and mulch. And I think I might actually put something else in there besides tomatoes and chilies. There's really only so many cucumbers, tomatoes, and chilies that one can have in the garden. And I think a bit of variety would be nice. So I might head to the market sometime soon, or see if friends have something interesting to trade, and fill this bed up with a variety of different things. So the workload today has been a lot. I actually also wanted to do a bit more planting. I've got a few things in this bed beside me that I wanted to get in the ground. I wanted to chop the comfrey and get it stewing into some comfrey tea so it gets all nice and stinky and becomes a wonderful fertilizer. And believe it or not, I had also planned to work on the cucumber trellis, but I've got somewhere to go later, and so I've run out of time, and you can only fit so much in before you get exhausted. So the cucumber trellis, comfrey, and possibly a couple other things like getting a few more things in the ground, that's all going to happen tomorrow. And I think I have an idea for the cucumber trellis that could work without too much effort on my part. Because as you can see, the cucumbers are getting pretty big and they're going to want to climb up very soon. So I need to get onto the cucumber trellis ASAP, and I don't want to mess around too much with something intricate. There won't be any joins. There's not going to be timber framing happening with this. It's just going to be 2 posts on either end supported with diagonal braces, and then a cross piece at the top also supported. And then I'm going to run a piece along either side and probably hang a fence down, piece of fence. So that's my plan, and hopefully it doesn't take too much effort. So tomorrow, cucumber trellis, and then comfrey. This comfrey is going crazy under the lime tree, so I'd like to chop it down and use some of it as a living mulch. I mean, some of it as a mulch. It's a living mulch right now. It's keeping the weeds down by existing, and I love this plant, as everyone I think knows that watches my channel. It's great for making fertilizer, and so I'm going to chop it down, leave some of the chopped stuff at the base of the tree, and then make a tea. And I've got comfrey all over the place. The comfrey under the grapefruit is also pretty out of control. And there's a comfrey behind Alvin the avocado that is turned into a monster. So I'll chop that one down as well. And just an update, Alvin the 5th is looking great, and I have high hopes for him. Okay guys, so that wraps up the garden tour. I really couldn't be happier with the flurry of work I got through today. It was tough, but very rewarding and very satisfying seeing the beds made, and I still have more planting to do, but that's the easy part. Hauling soil around and stuff like that really does take it out of you, and the planting is very satisfying, so something I'll look forward to. I would love to get this stone wall here in place at some point soonish, but we'll see how that goes. So it's been, yeah, a fun day of work, and really nice to be able to power through and show you guys the results at the end. But now I have to get cleaned up because I am still super disgusting and looking forward to a shower. And then I'm taking Jet for a walk up to the village where there's a fun event on this evening. So I'm gonna get cleaned up and then we're gonna go for a walk. Well, that was a fun night with some delicious food and some catching up with friends, but now it's time to get back to work, and I'm gonna start with some poison. And that's because I'd like to get into the collapsed polytunnel of doom, because there's some scrap wood in there, and I think I'd prefer to use old scrap wood rather than new stuff to build this cucumber trellis. But unfortunately, wasps have taken up residence, and that's where this comes in. So my plan is to give this polytunnel a spray and then run away and have some breakfast, have a coffee, and then return later and try to pull the entire cover off from the backside so I can see what's going on in there. But rather than going in the front, I think I will approach this from the side because I saw a hole over there. And as you can see, I've still got lots to strim. Everything's gone crazy again. And for anybody wondering about this fridge that's here, my intention is to eventually turn this into a worm farm. So that's what's happening. That's why it's just kind of been hanging around for ages. But I think I'll probably start small on the worms and then eventually get around to this. Of course, I don't just want to tip it on its side and use it as a worm farm. I'd like to clad it and make it all nice. So that's going to be a big project of its own, but it's been there for a while and I just felt like I should explain myself about why I have a random fridge. So let's see if I can get in here. Hello, wasps. What's going on? This is a disaster and beyond repair, I think. So let's spray and then run away. Okay, hopefully that'll do. I'm not allergic to wasps, and if I get stung by one, it doesn't usually bug me too much, but I don't want to get attacked by a swarm. So unfortunately the poison has to come out, and I'm gonna let that stew in there for a while, have some breakfast, and return soon. Because I'm pretty sure there's some useful stuff in there. That stuff seems a bit scrappy, but I think there's some more stuff further in. Or perhaps I could use some of the metal stuff that's broken for my trellis. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, hopefully the wasps move out with the encouragement of raid, and hopefully I can pull this off a little later without getting attacked. Okay, let's do this. So it's all dug into the ground, and I think it's going to be really hard to dig up because I have loads of debris over there and the fridge is in the way, so I think this needs a different approach. So I definitely plan on reusing this somewhere. Having waterproof plastic around is always handy, but I'm going to be reusing it in 2 or maybe more pieces rather than 1 solid piece, because I think the only way to get in here without digging it out at the bottom is to chop through. I was just going to barge through the middle at the top and have 2 quite big pieces, but I feel like I'd rather just chop it off at the bottom, and I'm going to lose out a little bit that's under the ground, but I'm okay with that. That's actually not even buried. Anyway, I think I'll chop it, or maybe I can pull it. Not really. So, chop it as low as I can, and then that'll give me a nice big piece of plastic to use somewhere. It always comes in handy. And I realize it's an abomination back here. Every piece of land that's a work in progress has something going on like this. I'm somewhat ashamed, but at some point everything will be finished and cleared and nice, but now is not that time. Okay, there's some sign of wasps around the bike, which I think is where I saw the nest. We've got some survivors, but I'll go carefully. And yeah, there's lots of useful stuff in here. I'm going to use this cork for the roof of the Craic Shack. This white stuff is great for sticking in the lime so you don't get cracks, so I'll use that. I've got a shea cloth here that can go up. And I don't know what the wood looks like though. And the whole purpose of coming in here was to see if I could find some scrap wood, but I don't really see anything that seems that useful. I could make it out of some roundwood poles. I have some roundwood up at the top that I had used for a temporary compost toilet, so this could be good for a cross piece. But otherwise this stuff looks pretty small. However, I will need more of this size to do the wattle for the Craic Shack. Anyway, I'm gonna see if those wasps move out and come sort this out later. Because right now I have a cucumber trellis to build and I only have a little more than a half a day to get it done in. And I don't know if I will. I've got stuff to do later on and I'm just gonna see how far I can get today and then finish it up later, possibly in a new video. But if I can get it done today, I surely will. So I'm gonna gather the wood up and get to work. Okay, I'm back. I'm scrapping the idea of working completely with roundwood, and instead I'm going to use these pieces for the top parts and for the supports, and the roundwood that I have here for the uprights. And I actually think what I have is too short to span the distance of the garden bed, but I'll figure that out later. So this stuff is square-ish, and it's going to be easier to work with, and I think it'll be strong enough. It's not like the cucumbers are going to be crazy heavy, and realistically I'm not going to be making any more wooden garden beds this year. Garden infrastructure is done and it's time to move on. So I've marked everything out and I'm ready to chop. So this trellis is definitely going to be function over beauty. I just have too many other things on the go to make something beautiful. But one day we'll have some gorgeous trellises that are permanent. But now is not that time. And so on, and so on, and so on. I've got a few cuts to make, and I'll see you guys soon when I'm ready to assemble. Okay, here's my plan. You can see the truss laid out down there. Obviously that's the top. These two posts have been chopped to the same length. They're going to be the uprights, and then I've cut these pieces as diagonal supports. And I made a mistake earlier, and I chopped one of these pieces to use as a support, and I had to go rummaging around in the newly exposed polytunnel of doom, and I was lucky that I found another one. But it would have been super annoying if I didn't find another piece down there, and it's a good reminder not to work when I'm in a hurry or when I'm tired. And right now, I'm in a hurry. I would love to have some lunch before I need to go out at 4 p.m., and it's about 2 p.m. now. So I'm gonna stop the work on the cucumber trellis, and we'll carry on in another video. But let me first explain this triangle. Basically, I want to make things as easy as possible and as strong as possible. So I'll use this not only to help square things off correctly, also to make it easy to screw in, and I'll put a screw in there, and I'll cut some smaller triangles up here as well, and everything will just be a little stronger. And I have this scrap piece of OSB laying around, so it makes sense. I'll do the same for the other one as well. And then I need to figure out what to do for the pieces that are going to go across, because I don't think I have anything long enough, but I have a couple ideas. And we'll see that first thing in the next video. Because I have a super busy weekend ahead, I've got a birthday thing on tonight, Cheese Fest is on this weekend, and the Montreal Wine Festa is on Sunday. Today is Friday, so I've got a busy weekend, and I probably won't get back into the work until Monday. And I feel like there's a lot of great stuff in this video. I did some Craic Shack, I did some great stuff in the garden, I unleashed the wasps from the polytunnel, hopefully, and yeah, got started on the cucumber trellis. So it's been a good one, I think. I hope you enjoyed it, and I think it's time to say bye from this one, and I'll see you in the next video.